A review of the Calexico Police Department finds oversight sorely lacking. What else the Department of Justice found in its investigation of a force that's located in a key region of concern for the DEA. And firefighters are getting ready for what could be a very busy fire season. What they're especially concerned about, that's coming up.
A city in crisis, a city that is being ravaged by bike lanes.
Coronado's stance on bike lanes went viral last fall. How the city plans to move forward. This is Evening Edition on KPBS. Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Maya Trabulsi. The U.S. Department of Justice is calling for major reform in the Calexico Police Department. Today, it released a scathing 133-page review of the town's police practices. Calexico sits on a big smuggling corridor along the border. Today's report finds a lack of oversight in criminal investigations and a lack of leadership, among other problems. The KPBS Fronteras desk has been following the story for more than a year. Reporter Jean Guerrero joins us with the latest.
The report comes less than a week after ousted police chief Mike Bostic sued the city of Calexico. He says he was removed for his attempts to stop corruption. In previous interviews, he's told KPBS that the city's police officers' union acted like the mob. When Bostic first became police chief, he asked the Department of Justice to review the department. The result is a 133-page report that describes the department as dysfunctional at almost all levels. For example, it says the department doesn't have a clear policy for assigning and investigating citizen complaints. I spoke with Ronald Davis, who led the review at the Department of Justice. He says most of the police departments reviewed by his unit have problems of excessive use of force and racial discrimination. Davis says the problems in Calexico are unlike those they've seen anywhere else.
This one is unique in that we do have so many deficiencies noted in just some basic operational systems that are the foundation of American policing.
The report makes 169 recommendations, such as consistent communication between leadership and employees and organized analysis of crime trends. Davis says the police department won't be effective until it makes the recommended changes. Jean Guerrero, KPBS News.
San Diego's problem with long 911 wait times is under scrutiny again. KPBS Metro reporter Andrew Bowen says city council members want more details about what's being done to fix the problem.
San Diego Police Chief Shelley Zimmerman spoke today at the City Council's Committee on Public Safety. She praised Mayor Kevin Faulconer for allocating more money to address the city's shortage of 911 dispatchers. But former Councilman Ed Harris, who is challenging Faulconer in his bid for re-election, told the council more money is not the answer.
I'm in a unique position to talk about this because I sat where you are on this very committee. I'm also a 911 dispatcher for the lifeguard service. I've also been in public safety for 26 years. This is not a money issue. This is a failure to manage and a failure to plan.
Just yesterday, Faulconer announced his revised budget for the next fiscal year. It has an extra $650,000 to address 911 dispatcher staffing problems. Councilman Todd Gloria says he wants to know how that money would be spent before judging its effectiveness.
I don't know anything about it. I'd like to know a hell of a lot more because I have had constituents contact me very upset about not having folks answering the phone.
The police department's staffing shortage and its long-term plan to fix it is likely to go before the full city council soon. Andrew Bowen, KPBS News.
This weekend, San Diego will host a former president and a man who wants to be president as two Democratic campaigns come into town. Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders is scheduled to speak at Kimball Park in National City on Saturday night. His campaign says he will talk about getting big money out of politics and making public colleges and universities tuition free. Because of security concerns, people planning to attend the event are being asked not to bring bags, signs, or banners. And former President Bill Clinton will campaign for his wife, Hillary on the same day. The Clinton campaign says there will first be a rally in the morning, but they haven't announced a time or location yet. Then in the afternoon, the former president is scheduled to appear at a fundraiser at the Rancho Santa Fe Inn. Early voting is already underway for next month's primary. It actually started last week. Reporter Joe Girardi with our media partner iNewsSource took a look at some of the early trends. So, Joe, how are the early returns looking?
Well, the County Registrar of Voters has sent out more than 930,000 mail ballots since last Monday. That's a record for them, and it follows a trend of more and more people requesting mail ballots almost every election.
So a record number of ballots were sent out. Is the registrar predicting a large number of those will be returned?
Well, the last presidential primary in 2012 saw mail ballots make up 66% of the total votes cast. That number has been steadily creeping up every 4 years. I spoke with Registrar of Voters Michael Vu on Monday, and he predicted that we'd see mail ballots make up at least that much of the total this time around.
Well, that's the registrar's prediction. What does the early data say on return numbers?
So it is, as you mentioned, early in this process, and the numbers reflect that. We built an interactive map to show how many ballots have been returned in each precinct. About 45,000 mail ballots have been returned so far. That's a 5% return rate. And if history is any guide, expect that figure to go up a lot in the coming days and weeks.
All right, thanks for keeping us in the loop. Joe Girardi from iNewsSource. Thank you.
A pleasure as always, Maya.
And you can check out that interactive map we showed you online at iNewsSource.org. 2 San Diego Unified School Board trustees are seeking a third term this election. One of them, Richard Barrera, is running unopposed. The other is John Lee Evans. KPBS reporter Susan Murphy says he faces one challenger.
Mic check, everybody okay?
John Lee Evans was elected to the San Diego Unified School Board in 2008, the year of the economic downturn. The district was hit with significant budget cuts, teacher layoffs, and larger class sizes. The financial crisis inspired Evans and his fellow trustees to create a long-term plan.
Back in 2009, we developed a Vision 2020, which was really to transform our school district over a number of years. The class of 2020 was then in the first grade. They're now in the 8th grade, getting ready to go on to high school, and I would like to see it through to Vision 2020, the year 2020, when they graduate.
The 62-year-old trustee represents District A, which encompasses 39 schools along Interstate 5, from Claremont to Mira Mesa. He's also a clinical psychologist for children and adults. Evans' list of accomplishments during his 2 terms as trustee include helping to transform the district's high schools to offer college preparation and career technical courses.
So we've increased the graduation requirements so more students are ready to go to college. But at the same time, we've actually decreased the dropout rate and increased the graduation rate.
He has also led efforts to get more training for principals and teachers to make them better leaders while increasing classroom technology. It's all part of the strategic mission of Vision 2020 to develop quality schools in every neighborhood. He says the aggressive project is bearing fruit.
One example right here is Jonas Salk Elementary. This is an area of Mira Mesa that was waiting about 30 years for an elementary school. There were lots of bureaucratic delays, and we were able to get everybody together and get this school built, and it's one of the finest schools in our district.
When Evans joined the school board, he unseated an incumbent with support from the teachers union. It was a rare upset. Now someone is trying to unseat him.
I believe that we should challenge the status quo. I'm a firm believer in thinking differently, and I feel that we should think differently to get this best school district possible.
Steph Gross is a financial asset manager for Sports Chalet, though the company is going out of business. The 42-year-old married father of 3 says he's also active with several community groups, including the San Diego Police Department Advisory Board and a City of San Diego Neighborhood Coalition. He says he's vying for a seat on the school board to bring transparency and trust. 2 things, he says, are lacking.
The school district and the school board is comprised of educators. I don't believe that we need another educator on there, but I do believe that we need a counterpoint. Someone to look at things through a different lens, through a different mindset and different thought.
If elected, he says he would work to provide an open dialogue between the school board and the public.
Because right now, the parents that I speak to feel that there is no lines of communication directly to the board.
He would also work to redistribute the budget.
I'm a firm believer that we have enough budget that a teacher should never have to pay for supplies out of their own pocket. Students should not have to come to school with their own pencils and paper. They should come to school with a backpack and lunch.
Another reason for his candidacy, he doesn't want Evans to run unopposed.
If no one's asking the questions, things will just continue on the way that they are.
Gross faces an uphill battle trying to unseat a two-term incumbent. Both candidates will advance to the November election regardless of whether one has an overwhelming victory in the District A June election. In November, they will compete citywide. Susan Murphy, KPBS News.
And video journalist Nick McVicker helped produce that story. The head of U.S. intelligence says the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security are working with the presidential campaigns to tighten security amid evidence that hackers are snooping on the candidates. It's not the first time. Intelligence officials say hacking was rampant during the 2008 campaign, and Presidents Barack Obama and Mitt Romney were targets of Chinese cyber attacks 4 years later. And you can find all of our election coverage online at kpbs.org/election. A new report on the state's prisons finds medical care remains inadequate at Mule Creek in Northern California. The Inspector General's report also finds that a third of the prisons inspected since last year are still providing poor care. Problems remain even though California has spent $2 billion on new medical facilities, doubled its annual prison health care budget, and reduced the inmate population by more than 40,000. As unaccompanied migrant children enter Europe from the Middle East and North Africa, thousands have gone missing from shelters and reception centers. AP reporter Robert Bumstead reports many of these minors have been forced into the drug and sex trades to survive.
They arrive on the shores of Europe from places like North Africa, Syria, and Egypt, carrying little more than dreams of escaping lives of poverty and violence. But for thousands of underage migrants, only hardship awaits. Termini Station is Rome's transportation hub, but for many migrant teens, it's a source of work. Many resorting to selling drugs and sex at the station to survive.
If someone wants to have sex, he asks them to follow him to his house. It works like this. They come to the Termini station, they'll say, I will give you some money if you come to my place. That's how it works.
18-year-old Abib arrived from Egypt when he was a minor. The Associated Press is not using real names or otherwise identifying underage migrants in order to protect them. Abib says he makes up to 300 euros a day dealing drugs at the station.
We've noticed, in particular, crimes related to drug selling. Minors are used for drug selling because for them, the penalty is quite low, and the chance of being arrested is even lower compared with adults.
Other minors resort to working as undocumented labor. They sneak into this produce market outside Rome, paid a few euros to load and unload fruit. 17-year-old Saeed says he's paid 5 euros a day, so we collect this stuff, he says, and then someone comes with a car and buys it. Similar stories play out across Europe. Europol estimates at least 10,000 kids have gone missing from shelters or reception centers. The EU says it has developed systems to improve the reception of minors, provide health care, and help unite them with relatives faster. Sweden gets by far the most unaccompanied minors applying for asylum, 35,000 in 2015.
Our life is difficult. Our lives have been hard since we were young. When we came to Sweden, we were happy as we thought we would get help, but we didn't get any help at all.
17-year-old Yusuf came to Sweden from Morocco. He now lives on the streets of Stockholm. He and his friends get by stealing food from supermarkets and sleeping in mosques. Robert Bumstead, Associated Press.
Spring rains in San Diego may have brought lush vegetation, but that could spell trouble in the upcoming fire season. San Diego firefighters are on full alert as they prepare for what may potentially be a busy season. Water drops.
Water coming.
Hose lays.
Moving.
And fire shelter deployment as a last-ditch effort should a fire overcome them. These are the drills almost 900 San Diego firefighters have been practicing up to 3 times a day for the last month. It's their opportunity to prepare in advance of the upcoming fire season. San Diego Fire Chief Brian Fennessy says the grass crop around the city and county hasn't been this tall and thick for about 3 years.
What's important about that is that when these fires start in the grass, they move very quickly, with or without wind, and blow into the drier, heavier vegetation. That dry vegetation is what is going to cause us the largest problem.
Fennessy is expecting a busy fire season, not just locally, but statewide. Firefighters are also particularly concerned about 29 million trees in the lower Sierra that are dead or dying from drought conditions, also prime kindling for fire.
We are a larger part of the mutual aid system. We are part of that mutual aid system, and we likely will be sending resources from the city, from the county, north to go battle these fires.
Fennessy says fires continue to do what they've been doing throughout history. The difference now is we've put our homes and businesses where those fires have, back in history, burned through open country.
We're prepared for terrorism, we're prepared for earthquake, we're prepared for all hazards, but bar none, wildland fire represents the greatest danger to life and property in this county.
He says the best preparedness is to have a family plan in place before disaster strikes. And video journalist Christopher Maui helped produce that story. And we will be talking more about wildfires tomorrow on Midday Edition on KPBS Radio. For years, fire officials have been concerned about the effects of climate change on fire weather. But a new study suggests human activity may be as much to blame for wildfires. Join Maureen Cavanaugh and her guests for that discussion tomorrow at noon. California lawmakers are aiming to restore balance to the lives of workers with inconsistent work schedules. Hourly workers and legislators rallied today to advocate for the Reliable Scheduling Act. The bill would require employers to provide part-time employees with at least a week's notice before scheduling shifts. Employees would also receive modification pay for any shift that is canceled or changed.
This bill doesn't require that you get a certain number of hours. It simply requires that you have the ability to predict when you'll work, how much you'll earn, so that if you need another job to make ends meet, you're able to plan for that. If you need additional childcare so that you can be there when your boss needs you, you're able to plan for that.
The California Chamber of Commerce opposes the measure, saying it may cost the state a serious number of jobs. A new report puts San Diego among the 25 best cities for jobs this year. The ranking comes from Glassdoor.com, a website that provides employer reviews. San Diego ranked number 21 on the list with high marks for job openings and work-life balance. Governor Jerry Brown met more than 1,000 California entrepreneurs today to talk business. The governor echoed once again his overarching message for budget year, fiscal prudence above all else. He also campaigned for a criminal justice ballot initiative which aims to allow certain nonviolent criminals to earn their way to an early parole, and pushed his controversial high-speed rail plan.
As I get older, I'm looking forward to sitting in the rail car with a bourbon and rocks looking at my iPhone. That's a lot more pleasant than after I leave the governorship, hunched over the wheel with my blood pressure rising. I think this is a senior issue that we should respond to.
And the governor also reaffirmed his support of a plan that would construct 2 tunnels to deliver water from the Sacramento-San Joaquin Delta down to Southern California. Last fall, Coronado gained national attention for reversing a decision to add more bike lanes. Some residents complained the paint was ugly. KPBS reporter Claire Trugesser has an update on the city's bike lane plans.
But we are presenting tonight the story of a city in crisis, a city that is being ravaged by bike lanes.
That's comedian James Corden poking fun at Coronado after its city council decided to stop painting new lanes. Residents' comments about the lanes went viral.
It brings to mind a visual cacophony that will look like you look there long enough, it can induce a dizzying type of vertigo.
And these black streets with these brilliant white lines everywhere. Because believe me, it takes away from your home, from your outlook on life.
For me, is very similar to personally taking all 3 of my daughters to a tattoo parlor and having them completely body tattooed. So, thank you.
At the City Council's direction, the bicycle lanes were removed from the project.
Jim Newton is Coronado's principal engineer. He says the city is now drafting a new bike master plan. It will take a year and a half to finish, and no new lanes will be painted until then.
The process is envisioned to include significant public outreach and workshops over the next 18 to 24 months to develop the active transportation strategy in a manner that addresses residents' safety concerns and fits the community.
Newton says the goal is to make sure everyone is on the same page.
It's frustrating because some of those things could have already happened.
Andy Hanshaw is the director of the nonprofit San Diego County Bicycle Coalition.
This is kind of a step backwards in prolonging those improvements that, quite frankly, should probably be in place by now.
Claire Tregesser, KPBS News.
Well, it looks like it's going to remain dry for the rest of the week in San Diego. Steph Davis says it may get a little chilly the next couple of days, and that's tonight on the KPBS Weather Report.
Weather remaining quiet across our area this Wednesday. Satellite and radar across much of the west showing dry conditions. Much of Nevada and California looking at clear skies right now with a fairly tranquil weather pattern in place. Just taking a closer look around home, you'll notice again these quiet conditions extending from Borrego Springs towards Mount Laguna, pressing all the way towards Oceanside, and of course south towards San Diego itself. And that's the way we will remain as we wrap up our Wednesday night in Borrego Springs, looking at clear skies and comfortably mild temperatures with our overnight low at 65 degrees. Back to the mid-40s we go tonight in Mount Laguna, hovering around 50 for overnight lows in Ramona and Alpine, around 60 with patchy clouds tonight in Oceanside. We'll see low clouds building into San Diego tonight with your overnight low at 62 degrees. Remaining quiet across much of Southern California for our Thursday. Now you'll notice we have some activity kind of hovering around us here, but our area will remain largely dry as we look ahead towards the day tomorrow. Here's a look at your 5-day outlook for the coast. Low clouds breaking for sunshine Thursday. Your high temperature is 71. We'll see some clouds and mist building in for your Friday morning. Temperatures cooler with highs in the upper 60s. For the weekend along the coast, not too shabby. Saturday and Sunday, low clouds breaking for sunshine with highs in the upper 60s. Mostly cloudy early next week Monday. Your daytime high is 68 degrees. 5-day outlook inland showing low clouds breaking for sun on Thursday with highs in the low 70s. Same deal for your Friday. Clouds with a little bit of mist and sprinkles in the morning, high 68. We'll dry things out for the weekend. Saturday, 68 with low clouds breaking for sunshine. Can't rule out a morning shower inland Sunday, and then partly sunny and highs near 70 for your Monday. 5-day outlook across the mountains, mostly sunny and nice on Thursday, highs near 70. Cooler on Friday with highs near 60 degrees. We'll drop to the 50s, and that's where we'll remain Saturday, Sunday, and into your Monday. Wrapping things up with your 5-day outlook for the desert. Sunny and warm on Thursday, high 98. Not as warm as we wrap up the work and school week Friday with highs in the upper 80s. Saturday, sunny and pleasant. Same deal Sunday with your daytime high at 81. Sunshine and nice for your Monday in the desert with highs breaking to the mid 80s. Steph Davis, KPBS News.
I'm Hari Srinivasan on the next News Hour. How does nature bounce back from catastrophe? Miles O'Brien explores what's growing from the ashes of Mount St. Helens. That's Wednesday on the PBS News Hour.
Look. Hey! There we go.
And California's capital celebrated its 42nd jumping frog race today. Lawmakers and staffers released their frogs vying for the longest hop. A frog named Petey managed to get top prize for the longest jump of 12 feet and 1 inch. Petey was Assembly member James Gallagher's frog. The annual jump is a Capitol tradition that dates back to 1928. It was inspired by Mark Twain's fictional work, The Celebrated Jumping Frog of Calaveras County. Now let's recap our top stories tonight, beginning with a scathing review of the Calexico Police Department. It comes from the Federal Justice Department. The problems listed in the report include a lack of oversight in investigations and a lack of leadership. The federal review was requested by former Calexico Police Chief Mike Bostic, who says the city's police union acted like the mob. Bostic was ousted for his post last year and just last week filed a lawsuit over the firing. And 2 presidential campaigns are coming to San Diego this weekend, both of them on the Democratic side. Former President Bill Clinton is expected to attend a rally on Saturday morning and a fundraiser in Rancho Santa Fe that afternoon. And on Saturday night, Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders is scheduled to speak at a rally in National City. San Diego's problem with long 911 wait times is under scrutiny again. Mayor Kevin Faulconer is allocating more money in the city budget to deal with a shortage in dispatchers. But one of his challengers for the mayor's office says it's not a money issue. Today, former Councilman Ed Harris told a city council committee that it's a failure to manage and plan. The issue is expected to go before the full council soon. And here's a look at what we're working on for tomorrow in the KPBS newsroom. We'll have an update from our media partner, iNewsSource, on their story about a privacy breach at a local hospital. You'll hear what the hospital has to say about it. And then on midday edition at noon, with so much going digital, why should anyone care about a 400-year-old book? Well, the Old Globe's artistic director Barry Edelstein tells you why, as the first folio comes to San Diego and allows people to see the first book to collect all of Shakespeare's plays. And as always, you can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thank you for joining us tonight. Have a great evening.